Greg Buchanan, the Vice President of the Canadian Professional Chuckwagon Association, and he is here to give us a little bit of a preview of the upcoming CPCA season. And so thank you so much for being with us today, Greg.
Thanks for having me, Thomas.
And so, Greg, tell me a little bit about the tarp sales. The NACC one was just this past week, and then the CPCA finals one will be coming up early next week. Tell me how important it is for the drivers to get these tarps sold, and where that money goes and how important it is for them.
It's the bloodline for the sport, and it starts at that tarp sale. And more than anything, it actually starts before that, because a lot of the drivers do their homework leading into the New Lloydminster Nissan CPCA finals, tarp sale at the Lloyd X. And they knock on a lot of doors, they make a lot of phone calls, and they try to get sponsors in there, and they try to have a connection to those sponsors before that night comes. So there's a lot of work that goes in to that night of the tarp sale that leads on to the entire season.
And so, Greg, the CPCA season is quite a few months away, but what are some drivers doing right now in order to train their horses and themselves and their kind of personnel right now in order to be ready for the season coming up this summer?
Well, all depending how they're set up. There's an apparatus called an equicizer, and what an equicizer is, it's like a merry-go-round for chuckwagon horses, where they get a harness and they go around, and it's a covered, enclosed apparatus, so you could actually do that year-round. Those are the lucky ones. The ones that don't have that, they kind of have to wait until the snow melts and kind of do a little bit of racing and a little bit of truck training and whatever they have to do in the back 40. So right now, as it gets warmer and warmer, the more chances are there's going to be some thoroughbreds hitting the trails throughout this area, and the quicker they can get air in the lungs of those horses getting ready for the race season ahead, the better they're going to do come June, July, and August.
And so, Greg, tell me a little bit about a few of the front-running drivers, I know it's early to talk about it, that will be looking to be very successful again this year. Logan Gorst, of course, just sold his tarp for quite a little bit of money and was very successful at the CPCA finals last year. And so tell me about him and a few other drivers that you're thinking are going to take a step forward / be in that race for the top aggregate this year.
He should be one of the contenders, a former Calgary Stampede champion, a former Canadian champion. There's always those usual kind of suspects like Todd Baptiste, and you also have, Danny Ringette's an up-and-coming guy. Preston Faithful had a tremendous season last year. Don't forget a Brad McMahon, and DJ King is coming onto his own as well. So there's a long list of drivers that will contend and that will get, as we get a little closer to the August and the CPCA finals hosted by the New Lloydminster Nissan. But yeah, it's interesting because there's so many different variables that come into play every race season that you could count in this guy, and all of a sudden, has a couple of penalties in a given night, and it takes him out of contention to win a show. But yeah, there's always those usual suspects, and expect a few more guys to come up along the ranks too that are just going to get better. Cale Lajeunesse was a young driver a number of years ago that made his debut, and now as he gets more experience under his belt, he's going to start contending for a top 10, top 5 finish.
Thank you so much for all the information, Greg, and we will definitely continue to talk to you as the CPCA season gets underway.
Thanks a lot, Thomas.